Yesterday, Martinez Chrysler, a family dealership that survived 48 years and 3 recessions, shut its doors for good. 42 jobs gone, a neon sign sold for scrap, another casualty in the 2025 car market apocalypse, where over 25% of dealerships are closing forever. The official story blames the economy, but the truth is far worse. Runaway $700 payments, loan approvals vanishing as rates push past 15%, and Gen Z buyers abandoning showrooms entirely. They, the automakers and lenders, keep squeezing, and the small dealers fall first. But as they vanish, consumers are next in line, facing a future with fewer choices and no protections. How did a century-old system collapse almost overnight? And who decided it had to be US paying the price? The average new car payment has crossed $700 per month. That's not a luxury brand or a loaded truck. That's the going rate for a basic family sedan in 2025. For a household pulling in $2,800 a month after taxes, that single payment eats up more than a quarter of their take-home pay before they've even filled the tank or paid for insurance. Add in those costs, and car ownership now consumes 30 to 40% of the average family's income. Listen to what that means in real life. Last week, I spoke with the Torres family in San Antonio. 2 working parents, 3 kids, no vacations, no splurges. Their old minivan finally gave out. They walked into a dealership hoping to finance a used SUV. The monthly payment? $740, with another $180 for insurance. That's $920 a month just to keep a vehicle in the driveway, more than their rent. "We just can't do it," Maria Torres told me. "We need a car to get to work, but we can't afford to work if we have a car." This story isn't rare. Across the country, families are making impossible choices. Skip a car payment, skip groceries, skip a doctor's visit. Dealers I've talked to say customers are breaking down at the finance desk. One manager in Ohio told me, "We used to help people get into cars. Now we're turning them away. I've never seen so many tears in my office." The numbers are unforgiving. In 2019, the average new car payment was under $400. In just 6 years, it's nearly doubled. The so-called experts say you shouldn't spend more than 15% of your income on a car, but the reality is most Americans are spending double that, if they can qualify for a loan at all. This is what happens when they, the automakers, the lenders, the policymakers, keep raising prices and tightening credit while wages stagnate. They call it progress. For the rest of us, it's a squeeze that's pushing car ownership out of reach. The price on the window isn't just a number anymore. It's a wall. Dealerships are feeling it too. When buyers can't afford the payment, cars sit unsold. Every day, those unsold vehicles rack up interest charges for the dealer. $15, $20, sometimes more, eating away any hope of profit. The longer the cars sit, the closer the doors come to closing for good. That's why even century-old dealerships are disappearing. Not because people don't want cars, but because the math no longer works for anyone but the biggest players. And as the small dealers vanish, so does any chance of a fair deal for the rest of us. Walk into any showroom today, and you'll notice something strange. The crowds are gone. Where you used to see families huddled around minivans, now there's just empty space and salespeople scrolling their phones. National foot traffic data shows a drop of nearly 40% compared to 2019. Dealers call it a ghost town. It's not just about price. People are simply walking away from the idea of owning a car at all. Look at the numbers behind the silence. In 2021, over 80% of Americans under 35 expected to buy a car within 2 years. This year, fewer than half say they plan to own a car in the next 5. The shift is starkest among Gen Z. For them, car ownership isn't a rite of passage, it's a burden. The rise of rideshare apps, subscription services, and even e-bike rentals has given younger drivers a way out of the monthly payment trap. In cities like Seattle and Austin, car subscription signups have doubled since 2022, with some services reporting waitlists for the first time ever. Dealers feel the change every day. "We used to see college kids come in with their parents, ready to buy their first car," says Marcus, a sales manager in Minneapolis. "Now they ask about Uber credits, or if we offer short-term leases. They don't want the debt. They don't want the hassle." Manufacturers and lenders still talk about pent-up demand, but the reality is, the buyer pool is shrinking. In the last 12 months, over 1.2 million fewer new vehicles were registered to drivers under 30 compared to the same period 5 years ago. That's not just a blip, it's a generational change. The car industry built its empire on the promise that everyone would need a car, forever. But now, for a growing segment of Americans, owning a car is starting to look like a bad deal. This isn't just a city phenomenon. Suburban and even rural areas report more empty driveways, more parents dropping off the second or third car. With insurance, repairs, and fuel costs stacking up, families are making hard choices. Some are turning to monthly car subscriptions that bundle everything into a single fee and let them walk away when money gets tight. Others are relying on community rideshare groups or simply doing without. The freedom once promised by car ownership has turned into a financial trap for many. Dealerships are left stranded. With fewer buyers coming through the door, the unsold cars pile up and the clock ticks louder on every loan and lease. The industry powers on, but the foundation is eroding. If the next generation won't or can't buy in, what's left for the rest of us? The door is closing, and the people holding the keys are walking away. I'm sitting across from the Johnsons in Dallas, watching a teenage girl twist her car keys in her hand. She just landed her first job, and her parents want to help her buy a used sedan. Nothing fancy, just something safe for school and work. They've saved $3,000 for a down payment. Their credit scores hover around 720, and both parents work full-time. On paper, they're the kind of buyers dealers used to fight over. But the numbers tell a different story. The best loan offer they get is 15.9% APR. For a 5-year note on an $18,000 used car, that's $467 a month, before insurance, taxes, or gas. Add those in, and the real cost climbs to $650, maybe $700. The Johnsons do the math right there at the sales desk. That payment is more than their grocery bill, more than their health insurance. The dad shakes his head and slides the paperwork back. "We can't do this, not at that rate." This isn't about reckless spending or bad credit. It's about a system that punishes regular families for needing a car. Just a few years ago, that same loan would have come with a 5% rate and a manageable payment. Now, even solid borrowers are being hit with double-digit interest and terms that make car ownership feel like a luxury. The finance manager tries to soften the blow, offers to stretch the loan to 6 or 7 years, maybe tack on a cosigner. But every fix just means more interest, more risk, more money down the drain. The Johnsons leave empty-handed. Their daughter's keys never leave her pocket. As they walk out, the sales manager tells me this happens every day. People think it's just the price of the car, but it's the loan that kills the deal. We're losing buyers who would have been slam dunks 2 years ago. Now they're walking away, or worse, getting denied. Behind the scenes, lenders have slammed the brakes. Approval rates for prime borrowers have dropped to 45%, the lowest since the Great Recession. Anyone with a ding on their credit? Forget it. The banks don't want the risk, and the dealers can't make the numbers work. That's why showrooms are quiet and sales teams are restless. The people who need cars the most are being locked out, not by choice, but by a system designed to protect everyone but them. Every time a family like the Johnsons walks away, another car sits unsold, another dealer inches closer to the edge. The industry blames inflation, the Fed, global supply chains, anyone but themselves. But the truth is, the rules have changed. They raise the rates, they hold the keys, and they decide who gets to drive. For the rest of us, it's just another door slammed shut. Walk into a dealer finance office in 2025 and you'll hear a different kind of panic. Not from buyers, but from the people running the numbers behind the desk. The calls from the banks have changed. No more friendly reminders, just hard deadlines and new rules with every memo. Overnight, lenders rewrote the playbook. The big names, Ally, Santander, Toyota Financial, started sending out letters in late 2023 demanding higher cash reserves, stricter collateral, and instant repayment if any metric slipped. What used to be a routine floor check is now a threat. Miss a covenant, and the loan gets called. No warning, no negotiation. Interest on working capital has gone from 6% to 13% in less than 2 years. For a small dealer holding $5 million in inventory, that's an extra $350,000 a year, just in interest. One finance manager in Kentucky told me, "We're paying more to the bank every month than we take home in profit all year. And if we're late, they can seize every car on the lot." The squeeze isn't just about rates. Lenders are demanding bigger down payments on every car, higher FICO scores, and proof that every vehicle is insured and ready to sell. Some banks have started surprise audits, showing up unannounced to count keys and inspect titles. If a dealer can't show perfect paperwork, the line of credit freezes on the spot. Suddenly, the cars become a liability instead of an asset. One small-town dealer in Nevada described getting a call at 4 p.m. on a Friday. The bank had pulled his credit line. No warning, just an email and a locked account. His entire inventory, over 100 cars, was now unsellable unless he paid off the loan in full. Within 2 weeks, he was forced to auction everything at a loss. "We survived the oil crisis, the 2008 crash, even COVID," he said. "But you can't survive when the bank turns off the lights." The bankers say it's about risk management, but the risk isn't shared. The manufacturers still get paid for every car shipped. The lenders collect interest until the moment they pull the plug. Only the dealer, often a family business with decades in the community, gets left holding the bag. And when the doors close, the rest of us lose too. No more local service, no more competition, no more chance to negotiate. The people at the top keep writing the rules, and everyone else pays the price. That's how the credit freeze turns a slow sales slump into a death spiral. Every unsold car becomes a ticking time bomb. The banks have the power to end a dealership with a single email, and in 2025, they're doing it every week. For small dealers, it's not just a tough market, it's a rigged game they were never meant to win. Step outside any dealership in 2025, and the crisis isn't hidden behind closed doors. It's spilling out for everyone to see. Cars jam every corner of the lot, then overflow onto sidewalks, side streets, even empty fields next door. In places like Denver and Phoenix, rows of unsold vehicles stretch for blocks, parked so tight that lot managers spend their days directing traffic just to keep the fire lanes clear. It's not just a handful of stores. This scene is repeating in cities and small towns across the country. A few years ago, the industry called anything over 60 days on the lot a red flag. Now, the average new car sits unsold for 180 days or more. That means half a year of interest piling up, each vehicle draining cash from the dealer's account whether it moves or not. On some blocks, you'll find last year's models still wrapped in plastic, their batteries dead and tires flattening from months of neglect. Managers walk the rows with clipboards, counting keys and logging VIN numbers, hoping to spot a buyer before the next payment to the bank comes due. On a recent drive through the outskirts of St. Louis, I passed a dealership where SUVs and pickups lined the frontage road, hoods facing the highway like billboards for a sale that never started. One lot manager, exhausted and sunburned, told me they're running out of room and patience. "We're parking cars wherever we can find a patch of pavement. The city's already called twice about blocking the bus stop." drone footage from Dallas shows a sea of unsold inventory, stretching from the main lot to an abandoned strip mall across the street. It's not just a storage problem, it's a warning. Every car sitting outside is a daily reminder that the old rules are gone. Dealers can't hide the overflow, and every neighbor driving by sees the evidence. The system is jammed, and nothing is moving. For the people who built their lives around these lots, the gridlock isn't just an inconvenience, it's the beginning of the end. Industry executives keep repeating the same line. Inventory is tight, supply can't keep up, and that's why prices are so high. But the evidence tells a different story. In the California desert, just off a forgotten stretch of highway, rows of brand new SUVs and trucks sit baking under the sun. These aren't dealer overflows or test vehicles. They're 2023 and 2024 models, parked for months, untouched. Some still have shipping plastic clinging to the seats. Satellite images, leaked by industry analysts, show hundreds of acres transformed into makeshift car graveyards. It's not just the desert. At the Port of Houston, import records reveal a surge in leased storage lots. Whistleblowers have documented thousands of Hyundais, Kias, and Stellantis vehicles lined up, hood to bumper, waiting for buyers who never arrived. Manufacturers claim they're cutting production to match demand, but the off-site stockpiles keep growing. One analyst, who's tracked satellite data since 2022, estimates that over 400,000 unsold vehicles are hidden in just 3 of these remote lots. Another insider shared photos from a fenced compound outside Savannah, Georgia. Entire fleets of unsold EVs and pickups, some with dead batteries and flat tires from months of neglect. These aren't isolated cases. Port authorities in Los Angeles and Newark confirmed record numbers of vehicles stored off-site since late 2023, with automakers quietly renewing land leases rather than moving inventory to showrooms. The official numbers don't tell the full story. Publicly, manufacturers report tight inventory to justify high prices. Privately, they're hiding the glut, hoping to avoid panic among dealers and investors. The result? Dealers are forced to keep ordering cars they can't sell, while the real surplus is shuffled out of sight. One industry veteran put it bluntly, "They're warehousing losses. Every day those cars sit, the value drops. But as long as they're off the books, the story stays clean." This is how the system protects itself. The automakers control the narrative, shifting risk and cost away from their balance sheets and onto the backs of small dealers and local communities. Meanwhile, the unsold cars pile up, silent proof that the crisis runs deeper than anyone wants to admit. For every empty showroom on Main Street, there's a field of forgotten inventory somewhere out of sight, waiting for a market that may never return. Linda Martinez spent her last day at the dealership walking through empty halls, her phone camera in hand, recording 34 years of memories as they vanished into cardboard boxes. Martinez Chrysler had survived every storm Phoenix could throw at it. Recessions, factory recalls, even the 2008 crash. But on June 15, 2024, the doors closed for good. The Arizona Department of Transportation revoked the dealer license that morning. By noon, the auctioneers were already at work, tagging everything from hydraulic lifts to the neon sign Linda's father hung above the showroom in 1989. Inside, the service bays echoed with the sound of toolboxes rolling out for the last time. Hector Ruiz, a technician who had started here straight out of high school, loaded up his wrenches and joked about finally taking a vacation, but his eyes kept drifting back to the empty racks. 42 jobs gone in a single week. Mechanics, salespeople, office staff, all out of work. The local news crew caught Linda standing in the lobby, watching as bidders circled the furniture her kids used to nap on during late nights at the office. When the auctioneer lifted the neon sign, Linda didn't even try to hide her tears. The numbers behind the heartbreak are stark. $185,000 in unpaid vendor bills, $79,000 in customer deposits now tangled in bankruptcy court, and a $2 million hole in the city's annual tax revenue. The nearest Chrysler service center is 22 miles away, leaving hundreds of Pacifica buyers stranded for warranty repairs. Local advocacy groups logged complaint after complaint. Calls unreturned, repairs unfinished, promises lost in the paperwork. For the families who trusted Martinez with their savings, the closure isn't just an inconvenience, it's a betrayal. Linda's final Facebook post went viral. Packing up 34 years into boxes. My father built this place for the community. Today, I watch it disappear. The comments filled with memories. First cars, graduation gifts, holiday parades. But nostalgia doesn't pay the bills. Vendors are still waiting on checks. Laid-off workers are scrambling for jobs, some already planning to leave Phoenix for good. This isn't just one family's loss. It's the unraveling of a local institution that anchored the neighborhood for decades. The auctioneer's hammer fell again and again, each sale marking another piece of history gone. What's left is a locked gate, a faded sign, and a community forced to look elsewhere for the basics of daily life. For Linda, the legacy ends not with a celebration, but with an empty showroom and a lifetime boxed up and rolled away. 4 brands are quietly packing up their tents and heading for the exit. By the end of 2025, Mitsubishi, Chrysler, Buick, and Infiniti will no longer sell new cars in the United States. Internal memos from corporate headquarters lay it out in black and white. The numbers do not work, the investment is not worth it, and the dealer network is being dismantled piece by piece. For dealers, the news comes as a short email or a registered letter. For customers, it means the car they bought last year is now an orphan. No parts, no warranty, no local service. The retreat is not limited to fringe players or niche imports. These are legacy brands with millions of vehicles still on the road, some with roots stretching back nearly a century. But as sales targets slip and electric vehicle mandates loom, the boardrooms in Tokyo, Detroit, and Shanghai have made their call. Leaked projections show that Mitsubishi's US market share fell below 0.5% in early 2025. Chrysler, once the third pillar of the Big Three, saw deliveries drop 71% in 2 years. Buick's parent company, General Motors, has already shifted all new product investment to China and Canada, leaving American dealers to wind down. Infiniti's North American sales shrank to a fraction of their 2010 peak, with the final US assembly line scheduled to close by November. Behind the scenes, automakers are consolidating what is left. Documents from a March 2025 dealer council meeting show plans to terminate up to 30% of franchise agreements across all brands by year's end. The goal is clear: fewer stores, bigger territories, tighter control. One analyst described the new model as survival of the biggest. If you are not a multi-store group with deep pockets, you are not getting renewed. Smaller dealers, the ones who built these brands block by block, are being told to accept a buyout or face non-renewal when contracts expire. For the marketplace, the impact is brutal. In some regions, losing these 4 brands means a third of all local dealerships are gone overnight. The National Auto Dealers Association estimates 180,000 jobs will vanish by December, and over $7 billion in annual local tax revenue will evaporate. Service deserts are spreading. Rural customers now face 40, 50, even 75-mile drives for basic warranty work. And for buyers, the choice is shrinking fast. The showroom that once offered a dozen brands might have 3 or 4 left by New Year's. Executives defend the cuts as modernization, but the leaked exit plans tell a different story. It is about cutting costs, shifting risk, and steering the industry toward direct sales and agency models. The brands are leaving, the jobs are leaving, and the power is shifting, up the chain and out of reach. The doors are closing, and the list of survivors is getting shorter every week. Colorado, 2025. Lawmakers push through a bill that most people outside the car business barely notice. But inside the industry, it lands like a grenade. The new rules let manufacturers set the price of every new car sold in the state. Dealers stop being retailers. They're now delivery agents, paid a flat 5% commission on every vehicle that moves through their door. No more haggling, No more special deals, no more last-minute discounts to help a neighbor or save a sale. The price is the price, set by the automaker's spreadsheet, and there's nothing a local dealer or a local buyer can do to change it. On paper, the agency model promises simplicity. Every customer pays the same price, no matter where they shop. But the real power shift is hidden in the fine print. The manufacturer owns the inventory, controls the supply, and decides which models show up at which stores. If a dealer pushes back, they get fewer cars, or none at all. If a customer wants to negotiate, the answer is take it or leave it. In Denver, I meet a dealer who's been in business since the Reagan administration. He walks me through his empty showroom, pointing to a whiteboard where he used to track monthly sales goals. Now, he says, his only job is to hand over the keys and collect a check from the company. We're not selling anymore, he tells me. We're just middlemen. The factory sets the price, takes the profit, and tells us what we're allowed to earn. For buyers, the impact is immediate. The days of shopping around for a better deal, playing dealers off each other, or waiting for year-end blowouts are over. The manufacturer's price is the law of the land. If you want a specific color or trim, you get what's allocated. No more swapping with other stores or making a deal with the sales manager. And if you have a problem with your new car, good luck finding someone who can help. The dealer isn't empowered to fix issues or make exceptions. Everything goes back to the manufacturer, and the answer is usually a form letter. Supporters of the agency model say it brings transparency and efficiency, but for most people, it means less choice, less leverage, and less service. The local dealer, who used to sponsor the Little League team and fix your car on a Saturday, is now just a face at the counter, with no real say in the process. The power has shifted up the chain, and the only winners are the companies writing the rules. The rest of us are left with a fixed price, a shrinking list of options, and the uneasy feeling that the game is rigged. In Colorado, the agency model is just a test, but if it spreads, the last bit of control over what we drive and how much we pay will disappear, forever. By June 2025, over 25% of US car dealerships, about 16,000 locations, have closed, including Martinez Chrysler in Phoenix, whose neon sign sold at auction just weeks ago. This collapse is driven by record-high new car payments averaging over $700, loan approval rates at historic lows, and an unsold inventory glut exceeding 4.2 million vehicles. The shift to fixed-price agency models, confirmed by Colorado's 2025 legislation, gives manufacturers unprecedented control while shrinking consumer choice. 4 legacy brands have already announced market exits. Despite hundreds of pages of industry memos and government filings examined in this documentary, the full list of brands planning withdrawal remains undisclosed, and lawmakers continue to debate consumer protections. What is clear? The traditional dealership system, once a pillar of local economies, is vanishing at record speed. The decisions made by automakers and policymakers now will determine whether ordinary buyers have any real choice in the years ahead.